Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Mark, a trainer here at WEX Field Service Management, and today we are covering Profit Rhino flat rate pricing. This webinar will cover a Profit Rhino overview, how to sign up and set some settings. We'll look at the admin pages and editable part costs, tiered markups, and selling flat rate items on an invoice as an example of how you would actually use it for running jobs. We'll do a live Q&A at the end where you can get your questions answered live on stream. And without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into WEX FSM. When you first log into your system, you will be brought to the schedule page. That's like the home page. And we're starting from the very beginning. If you have not signed up for Profit Rhino, uh, let's go to where you can do that and just start with the basic overview. So, first, you will navigate to Settings in the top right and go to Subscriptions. When you're on the subscriptions page, it will start you on My Plan. You'll want to go to the last tab, Additional Products, and scroll down until you see Flat Rate Price Book by Profit Rhino. Now, what is Profit Rhino? It is a price book with multiple industries that gives you flat rate pricing. So if you use flat rate pricing and you want to be able to just instantly have a large catalog and database of items that you can choose, put onto your proposals and invoices, it can save you a lot of time from manual entry because you can build out a price book in WEX FSM manually, but you have to make each individual item. This is going to come with preset catalogs by industry that have the name, the part numbers, model numbers, the pricing, and the pricing is set by your area in your personal region where you run business. And the prices are updated frequently by Profit Rhino as prices change in the industry. So, if you are interested in that and you have not signed up yet, you would click, there would be a red plus button. You would click on that, and that will allow you to fill out the application and sign up and add Profit Rhino to your subscription. So this would be added to your monthly subscription that you already pay for the WEX FSM subscription. Once you have this connected to your account, then Profit Rhino will put the selections that you have selected into your system. So let's see what that looks like. I'm going to click Edit Subscription. And from here, now when you sign up for Profit Rhino, you will select your industries. So general are just going to be, general items that maybe every industry would use. HVAC specific, plumbing specific, drain cleaning specific, and electrical specific. Each of these are their own price books. If you just do HVAC, you don't have to add plumbing, drain cleaning, electrical. You can just use the HVAC folder. Any industry that you add, you will be able to set your own hourly costs and hourly rates to dial the pricing in to your standards and what you actually, sell. Each of these will also have a commercial price and a residential price. And we'll see that when we actually go and use it on an invoice. When you're looking at the item, it will show you two prices and just know the first one is commercial, the second one is residential. So from here, this is your part of the equation that Profit Rhino will use to have the final price you'll charge your customers. You can choose whether or not you want to charge tax for parts and labor. And if you're syncing to QuickBooks, you'll want to tell this where you want your parts to sync to, the revenue from your parts to sync to, and the revenue from your labor to sync to. If you use classes, you can also select classes from here. This is the first step I would recommend. Just make sure that you are selecting the price book that you want from the industry you want and set your hourly costs and rate. When you're done, click Save, and that will update in your system for items in your flat rate price book. Next, let's take a look at let's go. I'm just reading my notes. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. So now let's look at where you can actually view your price book items. So you can go to More Applications, Price Book, Flat Rate Price Book. So More Applications, Price Book, Flat Rate Price Book. On the previous page, we selected electrical, general, HVAC, and plumbing. So these are the price books that we have now in our system. So if I needed something from electrical, I can just click the drop down to look at that. Let's go to HVAC and blower motors and wheels. And you can see in each of these folders, there are subfolders, and each of these subfolders will have a number next to them. This tells you how many products are in that folder. If you want to just quickly spot check, you can click the drop down of subfolders and it shows you the names of items. But if you click into the product, so I'm just clicking on the number, that's going to now allow me to do some editing here. So from here, we can see this is my belt-driven blower motors folder. Everything in here is a belt-driven blower motor. And we've got our pricing, residential and commercial. And you are able to, you have some options here. So one option is to favorite an item. This comes in handy if like there's a lot of blower motors in here. Maybe there's one or two that you sell way more often than the others. I would favorite those. Then, when you're actually on an invoice looking at your price book, you will be able to toggle by favorites and pull up your most used or your favorite items. So that does come in handy, especially when things are crazy on the job and you want to find the stuff that you like right away. You can also click Edit Details, and this allows you to personalize the cost of these items individually. Now, this is important to know. So, Profit Rhino is going to do the pricing for you. So typically, I would recommend using Profit Rhino without making any adjustments at first. See how that looks. The pricing should be set to what you sell and the prices that you use. However, in some instances, there may be a time where you notice certain items are a little higher priced or lower priced. It's not exactly what you are charging. And the way that you can update those defaults is by coming here, clicking Edit Details, and then updating the cost of the item. That will change the final price that you'll see. So, let's say we change this to 300 and we'll change this to 20. And now we can see the prices have adjusted here. So, play around with this. If this is an item that you really want to make sure your pricing is changed and updated to your preference, play around with the costs. You'll see what the final price will be for your customer. Once that looks good, click Save Changes. If you edit a cost in this way, however, it will make it a unique item and basically flag that item as something you have manually updated and changed. When the next update comes through from Profit Rhino, it will not override any adjustments you have made to any of these costs. If you realize, like, you know what, I made a lot of changes, but let's just go back and reset everything, you can send a service request to customer care. You just click on the little smiley face icon, our help center, contact support, and just let them know I would like my costs in my Profit Rhino price book to be reset. And they are able to update that for you on the back end. You can also click pricing. So right now we're in a overview view. If you click pricing, this is going to cross-reference your pricing strategies that you have set up in your system. So I can see this is the pricing from Profit Rhino, and then what would that be if I accounted for my maintenance plan discount, my friends and family discount, military discount, and my upcharge for after hours. So you can kind of see what those pricing details look like here. If you're unfamiliar with pricing strategies, I'll just show you real quick. We can go to more applications, price book, pricing defaults. From here is where you can set your standard price, your maintenance plan price, and then these are modifiers. So I personally have a friends and family 15% off, military 20% off, and an upcharge add 25% for after hours jobs. But set this to whatever you want, and then you will be able to select these to update the pricing on the job that you're working on. These prices will apply to the flat rate items in Profit Rhino. Okay. Next, and let's just take a look, make sure we are on track here. Perfect. Next is you can set tiered markups for the flat rate items in your Profit Rhino price book. To do this, we will go to more applications, price book, flat rate tiered markups. And this is saying, and let's hover over and click on this eye. So anytime, this is just a pro tip in WEX FSM in general. If you see an eye, you can usually hover over the eye and it'll give you some information about what is on this page. If you, for this one, click on the eye, that will pull up a description. And so this lets you know what the cost range means, your markup, your margin, last modified, etc. So this just gives you a nice write up, a reminder of what each of these are. But the pricing in your price book, in your flat rate price book, will take on markups that you set here. Now, it will start. So in your system, if you haven't come here, it may be empty or you may only have one markup in here. You can adjust this as needed. And typically, the more expensive something is, you will want to make sure that that markup is appropriate versus something that doesn't cost as much. If you have the same markup for any cost range, then you are going to end up, charging more than what you would want. So from here, you are able to see the markup percentage. We have it to where from, anything that costs 1 cent to $1, there's a 400% markup because we do need to make money on even the cheap stuff. And then as you get to more expensive, from 300 to 500 is a 60% markup. You can also see the margin. I know some of my customers like looking at pricing in margins. So click on margin and you can update these by percentage if you want. Once this has been updated, you will see a timestamp of the last time it was updated and which user updated that pricing. Then this will apply to all items in your price book. So if I have an item that's $11 and I add it to my invoice, the since it's in the $10 to $25 range, a markup of 200% or a markup of 66.67 margin percent will apply to that item. When you want to edit this, you can click on the three dots. You can add a row above or below to add new items to this. You can click into these fields to edit. And then let's say that, you personalize this, use it for a while, but you would like things to go back to just the defaults from Profit Rhino. You can click recommended default from here. Once you do make changes, edits, or updates, make sure that you click save for those to apply to your new items that you would add. Just know if any historical record that you have, so if you have an invoice for someone, if you update the pricing here, this is not going to update and change your current job forms. That way, the historical record of the pricing that you set when you made the proposal, invoice, etc., will stay the same. Those won't be adjusted. It's just on new items that you would create. All right. And our next section is now putting this all together to actually sell flat rate products. And let's look at how to do this from the desktop. To do this, let's go to a job. So I am just on my job here with Justin Hernandez. Any job that you would set up, you are able to create invoices for. So let's create an invoice, add items from our Profit Rhino price book, and take payment. To do this, create an invoice. So we'll click New to create a new invoice. From here, we will click Add Item to pull up our price book options. And if you have the Profit Rhino subscription, you'll see right here from Flat Rate Price Book and click on that. Now you can view the items here through the pages. Usually, if you know what you're looking for, you're going to click in the search bar and type, coil. And then anything that has that in its name, you will be able to see here. So these are all the coils in that system. But usually, you don't want to sift through 500 different coils. So if you know the exact name or the model number, you have a little more detail of what you're searching for, that's great here. Otherwise, and usually the most common way that you're searching for items is in the flat rate folders section. So click here, flat rate folders. Now we can see our price books. So we're going to click into HVAC. I love this. It's got pictures of everything. Let's say that we need a capacitor. So we'll click into there, a dual start cap, and then, select the one that makes sense for this job that you're working on. Now, once you add it here, it adds it to like a queue. So I can go through and find other things that I need and select that. Now I have 2 items in my queue. And just continue to do that until you have all the items that you need. Once you do, tap Add Items. Those will then be added to your invoice. And it becomes unique now at this point. So you can dial this in for this specific job as needed. I can click on the name and I can edit the name, the description. which income account I want the revenue for this individual item to go to, and click update. And then now it will edit for this invoice, but not edit my main pricing in the Profit Rhino price book. So there we go. If I scroll down, I can now take a payment. So let's just record payment. This is just saying this has not been signed. We'll go ahead and bypass that by clicking yes. And here's the invoice we want to pay for. We'll select the payment method and record payment. And so now we can see we have a invoice we created that was paid. We have the payment down below here. And if you go to your profit and loss section, you can see this is the revenue from invoices and then the product costs. And product costs will pull from the costs on those Profit Rhino items, giving you a true profit down below, as it relates to the cost for the item. So, the cost for each item is coming from Profit Rhino. That is already preset. And then you can further update those with the editable part cost that we showed earlier. That way, your profit and loss numbers are really dialed in and correct so you can know the exact profit per job. And then the last thing is let's look at how you would do this on the mobile app as well. And so let's switch this to our mobile view. There we go. And so what we just did was adding Profit Rhino items from the flat rate price book to an invoice from the desktop side. Now, how would I do that out in the field as a technician? How would I use the Profit Rhino price book? I'm going to create an appointment real quick. We'll do add appointment. Let's select our customer, Justin. And I just want to do a service call with me today. This is good to go. I'm going to hit save. And now I've created an appointment. I need to go out, do the work, charge the customer, and let's use our flat rate price book to do that. So I'm going to tap into the appointment. I do my normal thing. I have done the work. Now I need to set up my flat rate pricing via an invoice. To do this, tap on Invoices, create a new invoice, and it's exactly the same as we did before. When you tap Add Items, this will pull up your different price books. Let's search the flat rate pricing. And then you have all of your folders. So I know I'm looking for HVAC, so I would tap into my HVAC folder. And same thing, let's go to capacitors, dual start cap, find the ones you want, tap. You can go to different folders, tap the plus. If you want more than one, hit add quantity. You can subtract quantity. Same thing here. As I'm adding these from different places in my price book, it's showing me the total at the bottom. Once you have all the items that you want, you can actually tap this arrow here and view what you're about to add to the invoice, and then tap Add. Now we've officially added items from our flat rate Profit Rhino price book onto the invoice, and then we're ready to charge the customer. So we'll present this. And then we can, process the payment, record the payment, even send this to the customer. They can review and pay online. Let's go ahead and just record a payment. So that's good to go. This is the amount. Next, select our payment type. Let's say they paid with a check today. Enter the check number and record payment. And there we go. We'll go ahead and save that invoice. And we created our appointment, did the work, created the invoice, added the items we needed from the Profit Rhino flat rate price book onto the invoice, and took payment. So there you have it. That is all the information that we have for today's presentation. I hope that you learned something. We're going to move to our Q&A now. But before we do, I just want to say thank you so much for joining. My name is Mark with WEX Field Service Management, and this has been Profit Rhino Flat Rate Pricing.